Everyone here. Kind of taking up two cases. There are cross petitions. Case 23 is asking for order of protection against Mr. Saka, and then 23, Mr. Saka asking for an order of protection against both Celia and Brian McMahon. All right, so you both were here August 21st, and so there wasn't any further service needed, so that's perfected. I've had lots of information filed in both. So how we'll do this is I'll just start, Mr. Saka, I'll start with you and hear if there's anything else on your petition that you want to tell me that you think is persuasive for your, well, maybe I'll first ask, you're still asking for an order against the McMahons?
Yes, sir.
And you don't have to stand up every time, thanks. You can stay seated as we talk. All right. And Brian McMahon, are you still asking for an order against Mr. Saka?
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
And Celia, are you asking for an order still against Mr. Saka?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So we got that settled. So Mr. Saka, I'll start with you. I'll have you tell me if there's anything else. Now, you filed a lot of information. I've reviewed all of that from both sides. I've reviewed. And you'll also notice me, both of you, looking from screen to screen because we've got everything electronic here. So I am listening, but I may be looking at something, especially if you tell me to go look at something in particular. But so Mr. Saka, you'll start out, and then I'll hear from the McMahons, and then they can respond with, tell me if there's anything more about your petition that you filed that I should know, or a response to Mr. Saka's petition. So I'll just have you both, you'll have your time, Mr. Saka, to talk about what you filed and if there's any response, which you've already filed a response in writing, and I've reviewed that. But your time to tell me, and then I'll turn over to the McMahons, and it's their time to talk about their petition and to respond to yours. So, and then at that point, and throughout this, I may be asking questions. And if there's something you want me to look at in particular, you're going to have to help me find it in all of this information. But, and then we'll go forward from there. Once I have all the information, then I'll make a decision one way or the other today. All right. So, and I'm applying the law under unlawful harassment, how it is, not what you think it is, but what it is. And we'll be talking about that. So, Mr. Saka, you filed under 23248, but you're also responding in 246. So anything more that you want the court to know on your petition, or any more about your response?
Yes, Your Honor. I have the abject fear of Mr. and Mrs. McMahon. We are neighbors. I bought the property a year ago for my brother, who lost another brother that's want to relocate here from the East Coast down there. And when I bought the property was, I bought it as it is. The property have a lot of issues, from roofing to plumbing to electrical, you name it. So for a year now, I've been working on the house to fix it. Due to the action of Mr. and Mrs. McMahon on August 1st, I'm unable to go to the house since August 7th, because we have a mutual order on us, and I know them. They can bait me, they can trap me to get me arrested. So,
there is no order in effect on either of these matters. We've just set hearings to hear the full story. Okay. There have been no orders issued.
It's even better, Your Honor, because I'm afraid they're going to make something up. They're going to bait me, they're going to trap me. Since August 7th, since I haven't been to my property, I have appointment for a contractor to come and fix the house. They can't come. I have to cancel the appointment because of the incident of August 7th, because of the incidents of May 7th, because of the incident of January 23. Instead of August 4th, I have a contractor to come and, as you already know from the report, Your Honor, I have a contractor to come and install the water heater in my house. Because I'm not living in the house, I had the city to turn the water off since February. So when they want to do the water heater, I have to go back to the city and say, could you please turn the water on for the plumber to install the water heater? As I was going to the water main to turn the water heater, Mr. McMahon just come and rush in a combat speed. I'm retired from the army, from the military. I've been deployed to war zone a couple of times. he come in a combat speed and trying to attack me, Your Honor. I have been previously attacked before in Lakewood. And that experience and him coming with combat speed scares me. I have to run away to avoid. I could defend myself. I don't want to do that because that can get me in further trouble. So I have to run to front of my house and call 911. And police show up, and then he was threatening. I served 19 years in the army. I have nothing to lose. His wife is coming and flipping me off, calling me all kind of names. These are people that have been experienced for about a year now. This woman, I found out later on that they have domestic violence. You know, this domestic violence report.
So I'm not going to take up any of this, from each side.
Okay,
You've both sort of filed information about past history that are independent of this situation here. It's all about character.
Yes.
And I'm not going to consider that. I've had it filed on both sides. You're both trying to lob this stuff at each other. I want to keep it focused on what the issues have been between the two of you,
Yes.
not what may have happened or what any of you have done going as far back as 2006. I think I saw some things filed, which is really not relevant, not material. And frankly, a lot of this is not admissible, but I make that decision, and I'm not going to hear about this sort of character discussion outside of what's going on here. So let's step back to August 4th. When you say that he ran at you, can you explain that better? Give me kind of a
Yes,
step-by-step physically of what happened.
Yes, can I stand up?
Well, just have a seat and talk to me about it. Yeah.
I came out of my front door. I have the tool to turn the water, I have the tool to turn the water. As I was on that water main area, which we only share, they have their water in there too. I have my water in there where they turn on off the water.
So both they're independent water turn-ons and turn-offs,
Yeah.
but they're housed in the hole next to each other.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
As I was standing down there, trying to lift the lid up to turn the thing out with my tool, Mr. McMahon was just shaking his what do you call it?
So you say he's shaking his arms and fists.
It's a fence.
Oh.
It's in the back fence. It was open the fence and coming to launch an attack on me. I was
Why
feared
do you say launch an attack? What was it about him that had you think
because
that?
the speed that is moving the fence to open and coming to me kind of make me feel like something bad is going to happen to me. And it's coming. There's nobody around but me. I'm the only one around, making fear and scared for my life and scared for my safety. And as I mentioned to you, I've been assaulted before.
Mm-hmm.
And that brings to my head. And I say, wow, this guy's going to come and assault you again. Is either defend yourself or run.
Mm-hmm.
So to avoid confrontation, I try to use the peaceful way and run and call the law enforcement agency,
Mm-hmm.
which is my legitimate duty to do that if I feel that the crime is about to occur. I think it's for me to call the police. And that's why I called the police. And the police came and I explained to them what happened, that this guy prevented me to turn my water main off. And they gave me a business. They said they didn't see any crime here. They gave me a business for them. And that, because I called 911, this is a retaliation on their part to come and file an anti-harassment order against me. Because I initiate calling 911, they think it's serious enough for them to come and later that evening, Your Honor, as I was parking, ready to go home to my normal residence where I live, parking my car. When I first came and put the first box in my car, Mrs. McMahon was not on the back porch of their window. I came to put the second box. Mrs. McMahon, Celia McMahon, respondent, came out from the back porch. She's flipping me, Your Honor. She's calling me a liar. I have to call police again. This time, not 911. I have to call police again and tell them this woman is harassing me again. She's calling me names. And when I call her and they say the police will get in touch with me. So because the police, sometimes they have history of not coming because he put in a petition that I filed too much harassment against other people. The police, I was driving on I-5, the police officer called me. I believe his name is Sergeant Braniff. Call me. I have the log report from my cell phone that I put in my exhibit. Call me and I told him what happened. And then he said, okay, I will give you the report number. He provided me the report number. It's in my, it's going to take a while.
So let me step you back. So then the same day later on August 4th,
Your Honor,
you're saying that Ms. McMahon was flipping you off or giving you the finger, which is pretty much means fuck off, and I don't like to use the words, but we kind of have to use the words to understand. So
Yes.
that's what you took that hand gesture as, correct?
Yes, and
then you said she was calling your names. What was she saying?
she's saying a liar. She's saying, we got you now, something to that effect. She also mentioned the same thing before the police arrived on that when I called the 911. She came out of her house. She said, we have 4 cameras on you now. We're going to get you. She's flipping me off. She's yelling at me that the 911 dispatcher was hearing all these conversations when they are yelling at both her and her husband. The 911 dispatcher asked me, is that those people I call the police on? I say, yes, ma'am, it's them. And it's reflected in the police report on August 4th that they are doing that the dispatcher can even hear this. That's how loud they are. They can hear this over the phone, that the way they are treating and talking to me, they're threatening me.
So you say threatening you.
Yes.
How threatening? Is that we've got you now? Is that what you believed was a threat?
Physical combat speed coming at me. I feel threatened by that, Your Honor.
So when you say combat speed, that doesn't mean much to me. So what does that mean to you?
Yes, Your Honor. As a military person, when you want to do something in hasty and hurry and fast and furious, you move at a combat speed, Your Honor.
Does that mean running,
Running
fast?
hastily, doing as fast as you could to get to that objective.
Okay, so you saw Mr. McMahon running at you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Did he? And so then you got up. You were on your knees or something in the hole with the tool.
I was just
you were bent over.
Yeah, I bent over with that tool because there's a lid there. You have to lift the lid up.
Heavy lid.
Yes, Your Honor. Trying to get a lid. That's when this incident happened.
So then, what did you do when you see him running at you?
Your Honor, as I've said, I have the experience of being assaulted before.
Yep, by someone else in Lakewood,
yes,
right?
Your Honor. And then also.
So did you drop the tool?
I dropped the tool. I ran to my house and called 911.
Did Mr. McMahon chase you into your house?
As soon as I ran to my house, she stopped down where she was at the back of her house.
Say she or he?
I'm sorry.
Okay, so Mr. McMahon.
Mr. McMahon, I'm sorry.
So he runs at you, and you drop the tool, you run to your inside your house, but he doesn't follow you.
He doesn't follow me. He doesn't follow me. I call 911 right there, Your Honor.
Right.
I call 911 there.
All right.
And that's when he came to the front of his house and making all this threatening. I served 19 years in the army. I have nothing to lose. And his wife came out and started calling me names, calling me out, flipping on me, saying, we have 4 cameras on you now. We're going to get you.
So when you heard 19 years in the army, nothing to lose, what did that mean to you?
Your Honor, it sounded very threatening.
Why? What did that mean to you?
Yes, Your Honor, it means to me like I'm almost to the end of my career. I don't care if anything happens to me now or not. I can do whatever I want to do. That's what it means to me. When people get to the pinnacle of their career, sometimes they tend to just feel carefree sometimes. Like I'm almost to the finish line. It's like somebody running a marathon or running a race, going to the end of the finish line. When you almost get there, sometimes you relax a little bit. I'm almost crossed the line. So that is the meaning of that in the military. That when you almost to your retirement time, you feel you have more leeway, you can get away with things, so you can, you can do freely as you want to be, without being no repercussion or so, because they're gonna just push you in. That you almost retired, they will. And
you spent a career in
24 years, Your Honor.
Army as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So then what did you think that meant was going to happen after he said that?
I felt he feel like he can do anything he wants to do and nothing's going to happen.
What did you think? Why did that frighten you?
It frightened me because I can come and hurt you. I can come and kill you. I can come and assault you. All this possibility of harm and danger comes to my head when I hear that, Your Honor.
All right.
And as I said, being assaulted before in Lakewood also played that into my consideration. And also another incident I haven't mentioned to you that I'm going to that incident also. Incident of May 7th, when I was sitting for my contractor to wait for my contractor. I was the first one to sit on my driveway. Mrs. McMahon have a habit. When I go outside, she will find reason to come outside. When she doing my lawnmower, many times I have to prevent from, I'm starting to do my lawnmower. Mrs. McMahon will come and do lawnmower at the same time. I avoid and on this day, I say, I'm waiting for the contractor. The house in Mercy is not fun to stay down there because of the construction mess. I say, it's better to stay on my driveway. Well, I went for the contractor, Your Honor.
And I'm looking at your petition again and your other information about May 7th. Yes. And so, all right. So I thought well, for what I took from your petition, and maybe I misunderstood then, is that you're waiting for the contractor and your impression is she wants to start mowing.
Yes, she came out. I saw her. I was the
Okay.
first one outside my driveway. She came in front of our house, She came to our garage, grabbed a lawnmower, and she put the lawnmower close to the property boundary where I was. It's close to vicinity. It's like where you are there, I moved my lawnmower close to that bench.
All right, so she was on her property.
Yeah, but she moved it close. Yeah, and then she started the lawnmower. The lawnmower doesn't start. Okay, and then later on, our neighbors come to help her to start the lawnmower. She seems to be frustrated. Other neighbor came in. After she do that, and then the other neighbors left. That's when she started accusing me of taking picture of her because I was checking my cell phone to see if the contractor text me, because sometimes when I wait for them, they will text me, I'm in the traffic, I'll be there 10 minutes or so. Sometimes they don't call because they are driving. So I was checking my text phone to see if they text me. While I was doing that, she think I was taking picture of her, which I wasn't,
Okay.
And she started accusing me of taking picture of me and all that stuff.
So let me step back to the mowing. She's on her property with her mower. What was the problem there?
It's not
Missing that.
That was before she accused me. She stopped, she paused with the lawnmower
Okay.
and come and verbally attack me, say I'm taking picture of her, I'm this and that, calling me names.
Okay,
She
so
stopped.
what is she calling you? What names is she calling you?
She said I'm taking picture of her son. She said I'm a liar. She
Okay.
said I'm harassing her and a little child, and I'm calling police for no reason. And she just keep going.
Okay.
And then later on, I was trying to explain, I was talking to the contractor. Then I have two friends, Mrs. DeFeo and Mr. Shane Butler, forgave me. And later on, Mr. Shane Butler also have an incident. He was there calling me names on January when I was coming to that too, She called me names before. But anyway, during the interaction with the friends, also, she said that in front of them, I wish they could be honest and come and testify about what they said. She said to them, I hate him and I'll kill him.
And so so you hear
Mrs. McMahon.
say to whom?
So to Mrs. DeFeo and Mr. Shane Butler. She said to them, I hate him and I'll kill him.
Okay, and that was on
May 7th, yes,
All right, and you took that
very.
Wow.
Anyway, I took it very seriously. At the same time, I took it light. I said, well, just downplaying it. It's not big. I'm upset. She's just angry. Just downplaying it. I downplaying it. But when I got home, it still bothered me till midnight on that day.
Mhm.
It bothered me. I can't sleep.
Mhm.
So I have to call police again. I have a follow-up. Just to let you know, this woman threatened me. She said this on the phone. The police officer called me back, Officer Ben, and he said, don't worry, go and get your sleep. She's not going to kill you. She's not going to hurt you. I don't know if you put that in the report or not. The police officer, Officer Ben, reassured me that not to worry, that she's not going to kill me.
Okay.
But you told me not to bring the incident of this stuff. But then later on, I write the report of that incident with domestic violence. And it brings spine to me, like, wow, maybe I do the right thing to call the police again to report what she tried to me.
All right.
So that happened. And then in January of 2023, as you know, I don't live in the property. I came about 9 o'clock to start working on the house and waiting for the contractor.
So 9 p.m. or 9 a.m.?
8 a.m. in the morning, Your Honor.
Okay.
In the morning.
All right.
And I saw my fence along Mr. and Mrs. McMahon property pushed down.
Yeah. So there's a gap. So you have a wooden fence.
Yes, Your
There's a gap, and then they have a chain link fence. If
Yes,
I got
Your
that
Honor.
right.
Yes,
All
Your Honor.
right.
Yes,
And
Your Honor.
so, and the gap is what, 2-3 feet?
No, it's not even that
Not even
much
that?
because there's a chain link fence for privacy reason. I erected my wooden fence over next to that, very close to the chain link fence.
And so you had put that fence up before January?
I was putting it on since last summer, but I haven't get to that section yet.
Okay.
I put that fence before January. Yes, Your Honor. I put that fence up. The pictures show in the exhibit. I put the fence up, and I even anticipate that there might be a windstorm or something. So I want to put 4x4 but by 12, I put barrier against that. And because of the dog poop that she had next to where the fence is, I put additional corrugated iron to cover the odors of that because, in the summertime, the odor is just unbelievable. And I cover it up with because of that. So I put additional barrier against that. I came to my house on that January 23rd and I saw my fence look like the other side is okay, but the one next to Mrs. McMahon and the one next to that dog feces that I mentioned to you is the one that was pushed down. So I don't know what to do. To do the legitimate reason, I call the police and say, this is what happened.
So your wooden fence is pushed down into the chain link fence, if I remember
No,
right.
from chain link fence
To the other way, onto your
I have the
property.
picture of it here.
Okay.
I know.
Yeah, I remember looking. I just need to be reminded.
I have the
So, all right, so it's pushed down from onto your property
yes,
from
the
the side that the McMahons live.
Yes,
All right.
this is picture here.
Right, and you filed all that,
Yes,
so I've seen that. I'm just
Yeah,
trying to
so the
recall.
fence was pushed down. As you see, this is before,
So why do you think it was pushed down?
because if it's the wind that causes that, the wind will knock almost everything on that side. They have a shade down there which provide a barrier for the wind to push it down. They also have the tree line down there, even though there's no leaves on the tree. The tree is it's like a skyscraper eye that will prevent the wind from not. But this fence is so lower. As in here, next behind the shade, the wind, force of gravity can knock the wind can knock the fence down. The way it appears to be, it appears that somebody pushed it.
Okay, and why do you blame the McMahons?
Because number one, she doesn't want me to erect the fence. She called the fence eyesore and ugly. She's okay, and not only that, she come to my property on October 17 and harassed me because of that.
Before January.
Before January.
Okay.
Before January. I will get to that too, Your Honor.
All right.
So she showed her intention, the state for my fence already before that fence was knocked down. So, and I just feel suspicious that she might do the one. I don't want to jump to the wrong conclusion or jump to conclusion. That's why I call the police to sort things out. If there's a possible crime or something happened, and the police told me they went to her and she said she showed some video or something. The police was in her house for over 45 minutes or so, about half an hour. And then she even said that the police helped her tilt her camera for, which is, I think, is some professional or police to get involved with personal stuff like that. So they were down their house and they came out. The way they look at me, the way they treat me, like this is just nothing. So, and I look.
How long? So in January, this event, how long had it been since you'd been at this house?
I come there every 2 days, every 3 days, every 2 or 3 days.
So you've been there within 3 days.
Yeah, I haven't been there within 3 days.
Right.
And I also show another incident that happened. So after I left on that incident, I haven't been there for 2 days. The next time I come after 2 days after the incident, she went to erect a firearm sign next to my property.
So that was after January.
After January, after that January 23, 2 days after I came to the property, 2 days after January 23, it might be 25 or 26. Don't quote me on that, please. But I came about 2 days after that January 23rd incident, and I saw the firearm sign saying deadly arm, and I went to look at the dictionary. It says somebody armed. Is somebody armed? Is somebody that carry weapons? You don't put that kind of sign either to intimidate or to threaten or to harass somebody. I feel personally threatened. I feel that she might shoot me someday. She might attack me someday. It's like pre-warning to me that this is going to happen to you when I see that fence. And then I went to look at the next property next to her. I looked around, even though there's a shrub down there. She didn't put that same firearm sign next to that fence, next to another property next to her. So in essence, I feel I'm being targeted for that sign to send me a message, to intimidate me. So it makes me feel frightened and scared that maybe someday she says something about dying there. This property is not worth dying for. I don't know if it's a code word she's trying to use or something. In my sign, I put no trespassing down there. And it doesn't say no firearm. I don't say killing anybody. In a specific say, I'm going to kill you if you come to my house. So that is very threatening language.
Well, what you wrote in your petition and what I saw in the McMahons is this property, warning, this property owner is armed. Nothing inside is worth dying for, with a picture of a handgun.
Yes,
So,
yes, Your Honor.
all right, and so that,
I've-
and that went up after January
After
23rd,
Your Honor. After-
before, all right, before, what brought you into court?
Yes, Your
All
Honor.
right. You think, so it was sometime in January? or-
January 25th or
Okay.
January, 2 or 3 days, because I come to the house 2 or 3 days, to check the house, to do things myself,
Okay.
to wait for the contractor to come and do things.
So was there ever a time that you feel you had a working relationship with your neighbors?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Okay,
I will start with, I introduced myself to the Mr. Borison across the street from me. This Christmas, they gave me a cupcake.
well, I'm thinking these folks, the McMahons. Did
Oh,
you
no,
ever
no.
have a time that you had a working
no,
relationship
no,
with
they
them?
say you just started off the bat. I think I mentioned the first day I made it, maybe that's what rubbed them in the wrong way. The first day I met them, the first day I closed the house, I went to ask him that your trees are causing problem to my roof. It's damaging, I'm going to cut it. So in hindsight, after I left him, and I said, maybe I shouldn't have bring that up, meeting somebody the first time and bring that, but I was so disappointed that the tree is causing damage to the roof. And that's my first introduction to him. And his way he looks to me after I make that comment, he was not really thrilled or happy about it.
So when about was that?
This
that
was
started?
I closed the house in May 25th or 25th, I believe. I closed it.
2022?
Yeah, you know. Yeah.
Okay, so May of 2022,
Yeah.
and then your first contact, was it in person or in writing or phone call? What?
With Mr. McMahon.
Yeah,
When I came on Saturday, the day after I closed, I came the first Saturday and I saw him in his backyard and I said, I'm your new neighbor. I introduced myself to him and he told me that he's previous service and he's infantry. And I introduced myself. I said, I'm retired from the army myself. We introduced. But after I bring that treat issue up, Your Honor, Mr. McMahon will walk his dog every day in the evening in front of my house when I'm mowing the grass or doing something outside. He will never acknowledge me. He will always ignore it with other neighbors before my house. He will say hi to them, he will wave at them. But when he gets to me, he will just give me a cold shoulder. That's when he's going to use his cell phone, that is on cell phone. So he just feel like he's trying to avoid me for one reason or another. So when I start having issue with him and his wife, instead of going to them and talk to them directly, I asked another neighbor to intercede when I started smelling the dog feces next to the stove. Instead of going to them, I asked Mr. Borison, which live across the street from us, to intercede and let me go and talk to them about the problem I'm having. So if I come to them, they might take it personally. But Mr. Borison went to talk to them the first thing when I asked as a witness, Mr. Borison to come to my property and see what I'm smelling. The first thing Mr. Borison said is that these things, when you go to the line on my property, he said, these things, meaning the dog feces along, you can smell it. He said, especially in the summertime when the weather is warm, he said it's even worse. I said, that's what I'm experiencing. Sometimes, when I'm mowing my grass, I have to put the mask on my nose next to that shed where they have the dog feces on. Before I erected my fence, I saw my plain eyes. They have clippings of grass. On top of it, they must just personally put a fresh dog feces on the top before I can see it through my chain link fence. Before I erected my wooden fence, I saw this with my 2 eyes.
so let me understand, is that gap between your fences open on the ends, or is it an enclosed space?
No, it's because of the picket. The picket is not make it so close, but due to the expansion and contraction, sometimes the picket.
No, I'm thinking your fence,
Yeah.
neighbor's fence,
Yes.
there's a gap in between. And can anybody come from the street and walk through, or is it closed off?
It's closed
from-
off, Your Honor. Yes,
So
ma'am.
how do you get into that gap? Do you have a fence? Do you have a gate into that gap? Do they have a gate into that gap or what? No?
No,
So it's fenced on
it's
four sides.
It's 4 sides.
So is it somebody else's fence on the end, another
Yeah,
neighbor's?
Yeah,
on
they
each
have a
side?
chain link fence all around surrounding each property. Chain link
Okay.
fence is what they use all around each
And so
property.
all the chain link
Oh,
fences
yeah.
meet up and.
Yeah, made up, yes, Your Honor, to show the demarcation line between the properties.
Okay.
They use the chain link fence to do that.
All
But
right.
for my privacy, I go extra mile.
Yep.
to put my wooden fence down there for privacy. And she accused me of peeping or something like that. If I want to peep, somebody want to put additional fence for barrier? It just doesn't make sense or logic to me. If it's accused me of washing her son dressing or so, this woman, she's just making things up. I volunteer in my church. I work for the children.
Back up. I have another question. So the way your neighborhood is designed, so you obviously both live next door to each other, and there's a street. And is the street, is it a cul-de-sac?
The
or is
street
it a
is
through
in
street?
front of us,
It's a through street or is it an end?
I have a picture of the.
It's a through street though.
It's a true street, but nobody can park on the street.
Right, and so the neighbors across the street, but people can drive all the way.
Yes,
All
Yes, he's my Mr. Griffin is on my right side of the property. Mr. and Mrs. McMahon was on my left side of my property. I was sitting between both of them. And across me is Mr. Borison. Next to Mr. Borison, Mrs. Shelley showing, So the demarcation line for the property is that chain link fence that they put down there. It's about 6 feet or so high. And you can see through, no privacy for anybody. You can see through what everybody is doing. So that's why I go extra mile to try to put my own fence down there. But she doesn't like the idea that made me put a fence down there. Okay. So so
let me ask one more question. Part of what my train of thought here was, so to get in and out of the neighborhood, you can go either direction on that road.
On that road, yes, Yes, and sometimes, because there is no parking on that street, according to the city, I have another SUV parking my driveway already because I have the neighbors on my right side. They tend to have friends. They tend to park over my property. To prevent that, I bought another vehicle to sit on my driveway for that. Okay. So when I come in with another vehicle and the contractor is coming, there is no space for the contractor to park their vehicle. So what I end up doing, there is a post office about 3 or 4 blocks from my house. I will go to that post office. It's okay to park around that area, but all the street to the post office, you can park down there. So I will drive my vehicle, go and park the car next to the post office where people can park. I will walk back to my house. And when the contractor comes, they will park their vehicle on my driveway in addition to the other vehicle down there. And when the contractor leaves, I will go back to the post office and drive my vehicle back so I can go home. So that.
Okay. So, all right, let me see if I've got any questions here. I just want to review things before I turn over to the McMahons. I'd like to move over to the McMahons and have them tell me about their petition and respond to your petition. Anything else before I do that?
Yes, there's another incident on after that January 23. After I saw Mr. Boris in front of, so I went to explain to I called police because I saw my seatbelt pushed down. Mrs. McMahon was looking at me. I was across the street from Mr. Boris in second floor windows, looking at me. And suddenly she jumped out of her house. She ran to me where I was talking to Mr. Boris in his driveway. She yelled at me. She said, "Do you know it's against the law to make false report to the police?" Referring to the police I called earlier for my fence. I was so disturbed. I was so frightened. I was so annoyed. I was so harassed. So to avoid confrontation with her, I left with Mr. Borison. I walked back to my driveway. And before I get to my driveway, just to get an evidence, I snapped a picture of her and Mr. Borison together while standing. She was standing in the same spot I was standing before she came. She came and followed me. That is stalking. That is harassing for her to do that. So that is, and then she, on October 22nd, October 17th, she did the same thing again, Your Honor. While my contractors are installing the countertop in my window, we can see my window through the back door. She's throwing debris back to my house. She's throwing from our property, she's throwing debris. And then later on, I don't want to make a situation because it's going to make the contractor stop or whatever. I just ignore it and after the contractor, I saw her on this area. I said, "Why are you throwing stuff in my house?" She said, "You're trying to kill my dog." Then she came over from her property to my property, in front of my property. She said she was mere inches. She's about 2 feet, 3 feet into my property. She's standing down there, me making my accent, Your Honor, making fun of my accent, Your Honor, calling me names and taking video. I have a cell phone with her, videotaping this conversation, trying to trap me or do something. That was very annoying. That was very harassing for somebody to trespass. And finally, I have enough of it. I said, you need to leave. You are trespassing. You need to leave right now. I don't want to have anything to do with you. I don't want to talk to you anymore. I don't want to do anything. But she didn't listen to that. After an incident, she still followed me to Mr. Borison's house and yelled at me. This is the kind of harassment I'm facing from Mrs. McMahon, Your Honor.
And that was before or after the sign went up on her property?
Before the sign went on her property. Before, Your Honor. This happened on October 17, 2022, of when she come and trespass on my property.
Okay.
And I have a picture of her in here, Your Honor.
And so that was the front, that was, you filed all of that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Right, yeah,
Yes,
I've
Your
seen all of that.
Yes, Your
So
Honor.
where's she, okay, and so you're saying she came onto your front property and, all right.
And she was threatening me. She was calling me. She's calling me out. She's do everything to provoke me, Your Honor, on my property. I mean, it is not fair, Your Honor.
You had to order her off your property?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. And then from there, got on to January, and then May and August caused you to kind of come on in, all right. So you live right next door to each other, you share a property line,
Yes,
you share relationships with neighbors, you have to use the same street,
Yes, Your Honor.
and it's impossible probably in some ways not to look at each other. Is your mailbox on the
Mailbox
street?
on the street,
And are they shared?
we don't share no mailbox, Your
Okay,
Honor.
and you share a water
Right.
turn on and turn off,
Yes, Your Honor.
and at least the hole where everything is.
Yes, Your Honor.
And so you're asking the court to do what with an order?
I'm asking the court for stalking. She stalked me on 2 occasions.
What does that mean? What do you want in particular the court to order that she not do?
Yes, Your Honor, not to follow me to a neighbor's house, not to come to my property. That is stalking. Come to somebody's property and talk to them. I've considered that as stalking also. And also one for future order, for future occasion, or how do I, the best word to use it, for future harassment or threat. So to have an order in place, so she can flip on me, she can call me names, she can come to my property, you know. So I need an order for that, a permanent order that will stop that, because right now I am at her mercy. Anything she said, this woman, I don't want to react. She have a bad temper, Your Honor. I know somebody have a bad temper. She will just flip out of within a minute. This woman will flip.
So you want her to stay off of your property,
Property,
not
no,
follow you around,
no,
don't
not to harass,
contact you
No, yes,
in
Your
any
Honor.
way.
Not to harass me anymore.
Well, in particular, I'm actions, not
Yes.
just this legal term of harassment
Yes,
that you're
yes,
saying.
yes,
And that's what I'm trying to get down to,
Yes.
exactly that what you want her to stop doing in particular. And that seems to be, don't follow you, don't come onto your property. And you want this as to Ms. McMahon and Mr. McMahon.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Because on that incident, after Mr. McMahon come from his deployment, he came to me.
The August 4th incident.
I think it's July 28. It's on Friday. I was just finished volunteering with the U.S. government. I came to my property, and I came to look at it. It was July, I believe, last Friday in July. I think it's January 28.
So what happened? That's okay. Go
Mr.
ahead.
McMahon, I was getting stuff out of my. So Mr. McMahon came out of his front of his house. She said, "What kind of a soldier are you? You called police on my wife and you took my wife to court." That is somebody I want to start argument or something. Just for me to try to avoid. I just walk away. I just walk to my house and I just ignore him. Your Honor, that is very harassment, and that is premedited about what happened on August 4th, because she had the notion that I took her wife to court. I called police on her wife. That is one of the reasons I think the August 4th incident happened. I and him never have any business. We never have any. If my first encounter with him, when I introduced myself to him, and I saw him, I was a additional safety officer for my unit. I see people with eye problem when they're doing lawnmower without. I recommend to him, "Oh, Brian, I would recommend you put your goggles on, because there are a lot of people injured." The guy went to his house and put goggles on. He thanked me. He asked me if I need any equipment to work on my yard. I said, "No, I don't need anything." He said, "It seems you have everything." I don't have a problem with the guy, even though he doesn't talk to me. He's just his wife. He's just one harassing me. And if I may He said he's
So
on
let me step you back there. So you say you have no problem with Mr. McMahon, but you
until
describe August 4th.
on August 4th is where the issue with Mr. That's what frightened me. That
Okay.
combat speed and being assaulted before.
But before that, it was really what your concerns were was Celia McMahon.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you, all right. So if August 4th hadn't happened, then you wouldn't be asking
No,
for an order against Mr. McMahon.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
And also, not only beyond that, that threat he made on August 4th, I have nothing to lose.
Mhm.
And also coming to me on July 25th, that saying that you take my wife to court and you call police on my wife. What kind of a soldier are you? That is harassment down there, Your Honor.
All right. Well, let me turn to McMahons and hear their side of things. I'm sure. And so we're going to hear things probably. Obviously, I appreciate the McMahons held their peace, but also Mr. Saka, just you're going to hear things you don't agree with. So just hold your peace. And I've heard from you, and now I get to hear from them. So Mr. McMahon, Ms. McMahon, I can't hear from both of you at the same time. So
Yes, Your
who's going
Honor.
to start us out?
I'm going to start us off, Your Honor, and I would like to just bring to Your Honor's attention that everything that is against my wife was already brought to the attention in case 23-000-162, in which was unsubstantiated, and a harassment claim against my wife, Celia McMahon. And I'm going to keep this very simple into the evidence of August 4th, and I will allude to the 28th of the last week in July, in which Mr. Saka has said so. On 4 August, Mr. Saka claims that I was on the backyard and that I came to assault him. On page 26 of his personal referendum, it states that he said I assaulted him and that I was in my side yard. Under oath, he just stated that I came from my backyard. I was in my backyard. What
happened that day? Why don't you just tell me, Mr. McMahon, from your point of view, what happened that day?
At approximately 5:15, I moved to my backyard. Underneath my porch, I had just removed and replaced a toilet with my neighbor. I had the toilet in the back. I was preparing to detach it and to move it into a bulk trash setting. I had called several days prior, and the bulk trash was going to cost approximately $150. So instead of that, I was going to move it to the dump. So I was out in my backyard behind a locked gate with privacy lines, in which Mr. Saka has taken several photos, which shows the privacy, which we have those fake vines and the fake vegetation. Mr. Saka at the time was in the front filming me. I moved perfectly, and I said, you can film me. I'm just taking apart my toilet. And I took apart my toilet. At this time, Mr. Saka claims that at 5:17, I moved to assault him from behind a lock gate, behind a privacy fence. At 5:21, Your Honor, if you allude to one of the videos that was provided as evidence, at 5:21, there's approximately 45 to 50 seconds that shows me moving out of my front door and speaking to my wife, Celia, up on the second story window with a toilet in my hand, moving to the trunk of my car to move it to the trunk of my car for proper disposal. At that time, Mr. Saka was on his phone in the front yard, and I waited for the police to arrive. August 4th, simply put, he has made several submissions of moving to attempt, threatening to attempt, and then assaulting. Inconsistent statements. I allude to pages 4, 9, 16, and 26 to show inconsistencies in his statement and what he just stated today.
All right, let me just hear from you again. I'm just trying to clarify. You're on August 4th, then you didn't help me understand. Did you come over near the water turn on, turn off at all?
At no time. It wasn't until afterwards I even realized that we had the shared water. I had never even realized that in the front property there was a shared water valve. In his police statement, in which Mr. Saka omitted, and we did provide, it clearly states that at no time did Mr. Saka say to the police that I had attempted to assault him. He only said in the police statement that he was afraid if he moved to the water line that I would assault him. So, Your Honor, what it demonstrates is inconsistencies, plus the video evidence to suggest I can back up my claim as to what I was doing. Your Honor, I'd like to move forward to the second police phone call, if that's okay by you, which was made approximately 6:15. At 6:15, Mr. Saka claims that my wife, Celia, was making gestures from the second story porch in which she's provided ample pictures of our property and of us on our property. At that time, at 6:15, we have an approximate video, Your Honor, that you may have already reviewed, about 5 to 10 minutes, showing different clips of my wife speaking with her friend about our back neighbors and our issues with the dogs and how they put up a privacy line. At no time, Your Honor, during any time in which she had called the police, do you ever see my wife, Celia, stating any obscene gestures, making any hand or arm gestures, or pointing her phone in the direction of Mr. Saka at any time. Those videos clearly demonstrate that there were inconsistencies in his statement as to what he said. I have it on video. The reason we have those videos is because Mr. Saka has repeatedly videoed which he has not submitted, taken still photographs on my own property, which I know is not illegal. However, it shows that he is the one that is showing all the picture evidence and all the video evidence. In between August 4th and our current time, Your Honor, there has been several claims of an odor coming from our backyard in reference to dog feces. I would like to allude to the fact that I'm sorry about the exact date, but on this date, the public health was called in between August 4th and the present to respond to an incident of odor after the August 4th incident in the police record. At that time, I responded immediately. It said there was an official note that was sent to ours. It was never sent to our direction. It was never, ever brought to our attention. When I responded, I said immediately, you can come out as soon as feasible to come inspect my property. That property was inspected, Your Honor, and there was no substantial evidence. There was nothing that would ever prove there was any odor or any illegal disposal of fecal matter at the dogs, on part of our dog, in which we have an 80-pound golden retriever, and which is the reason that my back gate is locked so that he cannot paw it open and get out the back door, because our gate is a little offset due to some uneven concrete. So Your Honor, go on, sorry, Your Honor.
Fence, and then you think about a foot, 2 feet between your chain link fence and
Your Honor, at a certain point, his chain link fence clearly leans on our property.
Yes.
It leans on our fence line, which has been determined that it's our fence. We made no attempts other than the fact that we had a discussion with Mr. Saka, and this was prior to my 9-month deployment rotation to Korea, in which I did not return until July 12th, when I returned from the 9 months. Everything else that Mr. Saka alluded to between the months of October and up until July was all my wife Celia, in which, like I state again, case 162 on 5 June 23, all of his claims were already the same claims that he has made. He has made no new claims against my wife other than her making obscene gestures on the back porch, in which it's proven by video that did not occur.
so then your petition, maybe we can get to what you would like the court to consider here in your petition.
Your Honor, we are simply requesting that this stop. This has been over a year of consistent accusations that have either been unsubstantiated through prior cases or through video evidence just prove that these incidents occurred. We have an 8-year-old son who has been impacted by this because we have put up cameras, we have put up things to deter this aggression, in which he continuously finds ways to either photograph or show anything on our property. Your Honor, to allude even to a fact, on the 28th of July,
Let me ask you, like I asked Mr. Saka, and we'll come back to some of that, but what exactly do you want the court to do with an order? Because again, you share a property line, you share a street, you share some neighbors. What exactly do you want the court to order Mr. Saka not to do?
Stop calling the cops on us.
I'm one person at a time. I'll come to you, Miss Celia, but I need to hear from one person at a time.
Yes, Your Honor. We would simply like the fact that the police are no longer contacted for anything that is completely unsubstantiated. We would like a no contact order in place in which, through any third party, we would like him to no longer be able to video us freely on our property or to bring up a camera and show any still photographies. We want zero contact with Mr. Saka, and he can continue to work on his property in quiet. We simply want it all to stop. We no longer want to be facing these on any defense or any offense. We want a no contact. We want a no ability for him to call the police and to change his statements, as he has done several times throughout the course of the past year and a half.
So how would you propose then, if an order were issued either side or both here, how you would deal with property line issues, or the same area where the water turn on and turn off is, or walking by each other's house because that's a public sidewalk? What?
Your Honor, I mean, as far as the public water line, my valve is clearly on my property, and his valve is clearly on his property line. That is not. And our chain link fence, in no way or another have we ever impeded on his property. As far as that, as far as the public, he has a privacy fence up in which he has erected and put up. I have no visible contact other than the fact of me walking from my front yard to my car or down the street to walk my dogs, in which I'm free to walk in any which way I want to. And I've chosen to walk other ways, but at some point taking a loop around our neighborhood, because this is a through street, I do walk our dog, and so does my wife Celia walk our 80-pound retriever. We simply say that everything that he has stated has been on public property, and that there's nothing that can be stated on it, and that the argument in question about me assaulting him on August 4th is a personal attack on me, because he claims that at 19 years, I have nothing to lose, is what I stated. Your Honor, anybody in the military would know at 19 years, I have everything to lose. I am 1 year. I have put in and submitted for a retirement, Your Honor. I am 1 year from a full compensation for a career in which I thought I have served honorably. I have everything to lose. There is no reasonable way that I would ever, after 9-month deployment on my very last rotation with an 8-year-old child, with a wife to consider, with a house and a property, that I would ever consider ruining my career of 19 years for a domestic dispute in which it would take away my ability to carry a weapon, take away my ability to serve in the Army, and could lead to my dismissal prior to my retirement. There's no way I could have that happen, Your Honor. That is something that I would never, ever, ever, ever do. And we have video evidence suggests it didn't occur. Your Honor, I might be rambling a little bit, and if it's okay by you, I don't want to go too far because I know we've heard a lot. I would like to just move it over to my wife, Celia, if that's okay.
Yep, let me just
Unless
see
you
if
have
I
any
got
further
any questions of you. One
Yes,
second.
Yes, Your Honor. Yep, Your Honor.
All right, well, let me turn to Celia McMahon, and anything that you'd like to add or say or focus in on here.
Oh, I don't even know where to start. I just,
Well, start with your petition. There's lots of allegations that you make and lots of information that you filed. And so you're asking, maybe I'll help direct you there. We heard from your husband what he thinks he would like the court in an order to issue. What do you think?
I have had no contact with Mr. Saka since October.
Well, no, what do you want? What are you asking of the court? Do you agree with your husband that no contact with you from Mr. Saka? Don't enter your property. Don't take videos or photos of you or your family.
The most
anything else?
Yes, the most important thing is he harasses us through third parties, through the cops, through other neighbors, through public health, through the city of Lacey, through certified mail. He will not leave me alone. That's what I want him to stop doing, to leave me alone. Because my husband left from October to June and he was relentless with me. And that's why I put up privacy screens and a sign, and I had to buy cameras. I spent money to keep him out of my life and protect my son because we're living alone. I don't have any family out here. I have one friend, and this guy would not leave us alone. And we're not the only neighbors either. I have statements.
I'm talking to you and Mr. McMahon. I'm not talking about other neighbors. They haven't filed any petitions. They haven't put any evidence forward that can be tested. So I want to hear about your situation and yours only. So being left alone means some of those things, but also you're asking that I order him not to make any reports to any government agency or
false reports. I mean, unsubstantiated report. It was relentless. It just kept coming. I mean, I had to buy cameras so it would stop. So I had proof that the wind had knocked over his poorly built fence. It's on camera. I still have it, but yet he will still tell you that I knocked it over, and it doesn't make any sense to me. I had to buy cameras, so I put a stop to it, and it's not putting a stop to it. We have cameras all over this house now because of him, because of the false allegations, and I want it to stop. We spent a lot of money to keep him out of our lives, and I want it to stop, and that's it. That's all I want.
Let's see if I have some particular questions of you. And so was there ever a time that there was a workable relationship that you had with Mr. Saka?
Yes, he stated, we spoke in May. He had asked us
last year, 2022?
Yes, last year. If it would be okay to cut branches. And me and Brian were both out there in the yard, and we told him, you can do whatever you want. It's like, please do, because all those trees out there are crazy. He stated today that we gave him attitude about it, but then he sends us a certified letter not too long ago, but that says, as a reminder, we spoke on May 28th about the tree branches. You specifically gave me permission to cut the tree branches, but today he's telling you that we didn't. It doesn't make any sense. But but that's fine. We were fine until October.
Trees
When-
needing trimmed, then how did it go south?
October, he began to build his fence on top of, well, right against our chain link. And they were just makeshift crooked boards, broken, painted, and it was all pointed to our property. And there isn't anything we could do about that. But he started to drop down screen doors, broken trash in between our fences. And there were boards with screws and nails in between our fence, just a bunch of garbage in between our fence. And I provided photos. And there were nails sticking out through my chain link fence. And I confronted Mr. Saka. I said, can you not do that? He came out screaming at me. And that's when I walked around to speak to him on his property. I didn't even realize I was on his property. He told me to get off. I jumped back and I'm trying to talk to him. I said, please, whatever you do, I don't care about this fence, but don't drop down dangerous materials in between the fence. I have a kid, I have dogs. And then ever since then, I feel like, I don't know, I didn't have any contact with him at all until January when he called the cops on me. And I provided all those pictures as well with the wind speeds knocking over his fence, because it's not well built. It's in pieces, and he's got 4x4s. And the fence along our property was not the only piece of fence that had fallen, but yet he called the cops on me. And I've never had a cop at my door, so that gave me really bad anxiety. And it was after that that I bought cameras, because I knew that he would do it again, and he did. But this time I had camera proof, and I invited the police officer into my home to view the footage, which I don't think that's illegal. I don't think that's unprofessional at all. Because if I'm getting hit with false claims, I have the right to protect myself. And I showed
any comment on the sign about nothing in this house is worth dying for? Anything comment about that?
He would stare at me through my fence because into our yard. So I put up a bunch of fake ivy, like a privacy screen to cover our side yard fence. And I put that sign up because I am living alone with a small child, and I felt I needed to put something up like that because I felt fearful of this man.
And so, all right, so that sign, and his, Mr. Saka's point of view is it's on his side of your property, and there isn't another one on the other side.
No,
Anything to say there?
Well, the other side yard is just like a tiny alley. So I don't have to put anything up there.
So there's not someone next door to your house? Okay.
No. Well, yes,
But there's, well, maybe you can help me understand that. What's on the other side of your property line?
my neighbor Larry.
Okay, so there's a house there, but there's an alley between.
Like a tiny alleyway, yeah.
Okay, and then you and your neighbor Larry, you have a workable relationship then?
Absolutely.
Okay, and so is that why maybe you didn't put a sign on that side? Or not?
Well, from that side fence, there isn't a gate there. It's just a tiny piece of fence, and it doesn't look into our yard at all. It's just like a tiny alley. So I don't have a need to really put up a privacy screen there.
No, the sign.
Well, there isn't a gate on that side, but there's
Okay.
a gate where the sign is. So if anybody's tried to get into the gate, then they're gonna see.
Okay. All right, and then all these allegations that you were flipping him off and calling him a liar and those sort of things, that one in particular in May, I think we already heard that actually, but those kind of things. In August 4th, we got you now. Any comment about what Mr. Saka says he thinks he heard you say?
In May, I mean,
No, in August and July, and we've already heard all of the May issues in June, so.
well, I was there, but I didn't have a chance to really talk about May, if that's.
August 4th?
Oh, August 4th?
Think about, yeah, that big event where we're hearing from Mr. Saka what he feels happened. We heard from Mr. McMahon what he feels happened. And then Mr. Saka is alleging that you were flipping him off, calling him a liar. We've got you now. Anything to comment?
I have security cameras on my back porch as well because of him. So all that footage I pulled from that day, and there isn't anything about me ever doing that. None.
All right. Anything else, Ms. McMahon?
I don't. I think I
Need to pause and look, or? Well, you've provided a lot of information. I've reviewed it all.
Yeah.
If there's nothing more, that's fine. You've provided it to the court. And as Mr. Saka has, I've reviewed all of his too. Mr. McMahon, anything else?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. Let me just kind of look through some things here, and here we are.
Oh, I do have a question, Your Honor,
McMahon?
if that's okay.
You
Can
have
I
a question?
say, yeah, something about May, really quick?
Well, I think that was already decided at the June
Okay.
5th hearing by Judge Meyer, I believe it was. So I'm really just looking beyond that because those
Okay.
issues have already been heard.
It was just something that you said today as well, that
Well, why don't you respond? Why don't you go ahead?
well, in the May petition, he stated that when all my friends had left that day, that I had come out of the house and said, "I hate you, I will kill you." Correct. But in the August petition, he said that my two friends were still there and that they were witnesses. So I'm a little confused about that because that's inconsistent as well.
I think that was heard by the judge, it was decided by the judge in June.
Mhm.
So really going forward from that,
Okay.
the issues alleged since then.
Yeah.
Both of your petitions since.
I was just confused.
Okay. So folks, I'm going to make a decision, as I said, under the law here, and you may disagree with it, you may agree with it, I don't know, but you don't get to respond at this stage. If you disagree with it, there is an appeal process. But I am going to issue an order for each of you. I find there's credible evidence from each of you of unlawful harassment, but I'm going to structure it very carefully because you now are both in jeopardy if you violate those orders of criminal charges. And what the order is, I mean, you share a property line, you've had a long course of, and both I'm finding have directed at each other unlawful harassment, and therefore I'm issuing these orders against each other. You share a property line, you share a street, all that, but and it then makes it difficult and limiting. What I'm going to say is you don't contact each other. You don't contact each other through other folks, through family, through friends, through neighbors, through social media, through phone calls, in any way. You don't contact each other. This court cannot make orders that disallows any of you when you have a good faith belief that you should call regulatory commissions or cops or whatever. This court can't limit that with the evidence that's before it. But I can say that you don't contact each other, and that also means don't take pictures of each other, don't take photos of each other, don't take videos of each other. Now that makes it difficult if you've got video cameras all over your homes now and you're looking at each other's homes. Don't enter each other's property. You share a property line. Just don't step onto each other's property. I don't know what you're going to do about that property line and that shared area, that sort of no man's zone between the fences. And I'm not making a property line decision. And if you've got an issue about the use of your property and your neighbor's property, that's for Superior Court to talk about, to argue about where your property line is and what should happen. I can't make those orders. I don't have that much power, but I can say here from what I've heard that you don't contact each other and you don't go on each other's property. I'm going to write this up. So give me a moment. We're going to give copies to Mr. Saka. He's here for the McMahons. It will be in the court file. What's our habit with all these? Do we send them or they come get them?
They can get them or it'll be available
in the court file. So the orders that I sign off on will be in the court's file today and available for the McMahon, since you're not right here with us. But you can pull yourself together. And then again, Mr. McMahon, Ms. McMahon, then look to the court file this afternoon and get a copy of all that. But if you need some help, contact my clerks to get copies as well, if that's a difficulty. And that's it for today. So you can both be on your way. And Mr. Saka, those are for you. All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Thanks.